Are you limited to working for one firm?
No, not at all. I work for one firm because I'm an employee. However, we've got reporters that are independent contractors, and they are very welcome to work for more than one firm if they want. It's now gotten to the point that basically that's kind of what you do. You just, because we even get called a lot from other firms that don't have enough reporters, and they'll call us to help them cover jobs. So we'll go and in their place, you know, we'll say we're with them, even though we're with Kim Tyndall, but because we're there for them, we say that we are working with them. So yes, you can actually, if you're an independent contractor, you can work with as many firms as you want. And that does give you a wider variety of work and working for different people.
What happens when you get a job in Corpus and Kim Tyndall sends you to Corpus? Do they pay you per diem? I mean, how does the price change there?
Yes, you get mileage. Most of the time you get mileage. If I'm going from here to Shirts, I probably won't get mileage. It's still kind of within San Antonio. But anything Houston, Dallas, yeah, you do. You'll get mileage. In fact, I took in this case, I did jobs in Dallas, and they paid for my hotel, they paid for my flight, and so they will take care of that. And so yeah, you will. They'll be charged. What happens is they are charged the mileage for you to go over there, and then so then the firm will reimburse you for that mileage.
Do you fly first class or coach?
Coach, it's definitely. I wish first class, but definitely coach.
I mean, if it's paid for, it's cool, and the plane is going to get there at the same time, whether you're in coach or whether you're in first class.
Yes.
Not a short question, that does bring up a question for me, because when I fly, I'm so afraid that my equipment is going to be damaged by crazy under the plane cargo drawers. Do you take all the equipment with
Yes.
you?
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
if you're gonna fly out, what all do you bring and how big is your bag? Because I feel like the airlines keep making the bags smaller and smaller, and I keep thinking, how am I gonna put all of this equipment in a bag?
Yeah, to be honest, I had the same, I bought a Stenograph roll-away deal maybe 12 years ago, and it lasted me all this time. Until probably earlier this year, one of the wheels, broke, but up until then I used that. So I actually went to Office Depot, and they had a little one like this, perfect size, fits my machine, it even fits my laptop. It's got 3 different compartments, and it's small enough that it fits underneath the seat in front of me. So I take it with me.
For $200.
Yeah, and it was like actually $45. It was not expensive at all. It was a great price, and it's perfect. Anything else? Okay, well, just know y'all are always welcome to call me. If you want to write down my phone number, I will give it to you. It's 210-573-8248. Again, my name is Angie, A-N-G-I-E, and we're always here, and we're always willing to help you guys, okay, or answer any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Angie.
Yep.
So that has to deal with the freelance world, and I hope you guys, got all the questions out that you needed. I mean, I know that we've gone through a lot of information in this semester. So I know that it was kind of a lot to get together. I know that I just told you guys last week about the speaker, but I told you guys that the speakers were coming, so hopefully we got everything out. So next we're going to have, the next speaker that we have is Kristen, and she's coming from federal court. She is an official court reporter coming from federal court. So here she is. This is Kristen.
Hi everybody, I'm Kristen. I'll try to make it exciting because it is federal court, and I know there are some ideas people have about that. It is pretty formal, but not as formal as you might think. So I guess I'll give you a small history about how I ended up there, if you'd like to hear that. I've been a reporter for about 15 years, a little over 15 years now. And I started in state court in Illinois, was there for about 3.5 years. I moved to Kansas City, Kansas, and I was in the state court there for 5.5 years. Then I went to the freelance sector for about 4 years, and then I've been in federal court about 2.5 years now here in San Antonio, which I love. It's always been my dream job. And let's just talk a little bit about the qualifications. So I went to school in Illinois, and so along the way I went to McCormick College up in Chicago, and that's where I went to school and got my certification in Illinois. And then when I moved to Kansas, I got certified there, and in Missouri, because I was in Kansas City. And so then when I came here, about a year after I was here, I took your all's test, which isn't easy, but even for working quarters. So I was relieved when I passed that. So I did that as well too. So, but to be a federal reporter, you do have to have 4 years of court reporting experience. Now, and a lot of them look at your RPR as the minimum or equivalent. So basically your state licensure would be equivalent for that too as well. So they look at that as a bare minimum. They want your, so you do have to be certified, 4 years experience, and it doesn't all have to be in court. I mean, they look at those things, but freelancing as well, because there's lots of things that Angie does that are discovery depositions, like she's talking about in this oil and gas case, that they're going to use up in federal court, because I can talk about that a little bit more later, but for example, I'm in a big tax case right now, and we have witnesses from Thailand that we're taking down on video dep. So anyway, so that's, a lot of times they take it if a witness can't be there, a doctor's very busy, so they'll take the deposition and that will end up in court. So anyway, let's see, where am I at? So in federal court, I'll just give you a little background. Basically, a case starts off, we have criminal and civil cases. We do both, okay? And a lot of them start off with plea. It depends on the judge. And by the way, the judges are appointed by the President of the United States, and they are appointed for life. So they don't get elected, and they can do whatever they as long as they don't commit a crime, they'll be a judge forever. So they'll be there forever. So a lot of them, they can take their cases. Let's start with a criminal case. That's probably an easier way to go. They'll have a first appearance, plea hearings and rearraignments. A lot of time magistrate judges will hear those. Let's take, for example, I work for Judge Ezra over here in district court, and he's a district court judge. So he doesn't actually hear those, and then another judge, like Judge Beery, is the chief judge over there right now, and he hears all of his. So it's up to the state court, and a defendant has the option of they can say, you can plea before me in front of the magistrate judge, or you actually have the right to say, no, I want to go before the big judge. The magistrate judges are not appointed by the president. They're usually within the circuit. We'll talk about that in just a second too. I should have had note cards. This is my first time doing this, so David was so nice to ask. So anyway, where was that? The magistrate judges are appointed basically by the sitting judges in the district. So it's not like the president's involved in that. So they can say, no, I don't want to speak in front of the magistrate judge. I go up and plea before the district judge. It doesn't happen very often. So anyway, that's where they start. Actually, I'm going to tell you, at the magistrate level, pretty much, I can't speak for the whole United States, but it's all FTR recording, digital audio recording, because there's so many courts. And we can talk about the structure. I'm sure you have some questions about that too. Bankruptcy court, they don't have court reporters. So it's like the district court judges that have court reporters. And to talk about it, I think there are 12 circuits throughout the United States. So I'm going to speak mostly about our district here to make it lay out, because it's completely different than state court. So we have our district court here. And so it's very unique how Texas is lined out, because we are in the Western District of Texas. So that includes San Antonio, Austin, this is gonna be hard for me, Midland, Odessa, Del Rio, El Paso, and Waco. I think I have them all. I might be missing one. But it's all on a map, but we're within the Western District, and I'm assigned here in San Antonio. And so we're the Western District of Texas, there's the Northern District of Texas, the Eastern District, and the Southern District. And so there's all these districts. So we, basically a case would start there on the magistrate judge, go up before my judge, let's say the criminal case goes. You can have all kinds of pretrial motions, which normally the district judge will hear, like motions to suppress. And you'll have those before court, those are pretrial proceedings, and then you'll go to trial. So let's say in our case, now the other idea is, which I love about federal court, is the fact that we take, the type of cases we have are a lot different than state court. There's no domestic cases, so we do not do any divorce cases and stuff like that. So I did those for many years. So anyway, so we don't have those kind of cases, and then basically the drug crimes are, they often involve like the cartels. We're talking about lots of drugs. That it has to be charged as a federal crime. It's not your, what are you trying? Personal consumption. Small amounts of people have marijuana. It's usually people when they find them in these trucks that they're trying to bring them in. So usually it's a higher level. So if you have a trial and the defendant, let's say, is convicted, they then, that level here where the district court's here in Texas, we go up to the Fifth Circuit is the Court of Appeals. So that's where our transcripts come to play. There is when they appeal, they'll often order the transcripts. And often the motions to suppress along the way or something, since we're talking about a criminal trial. And you'll type all those up, and we have 30 days, whether it is a 2-day trial or an 8-week trial, 30 days to get those done, or we have to get docked in our pay, basically. So, and our page rates are, I mean, I can tell you, but I put them on my phone. But you get it's by statute, so it's okay if we talk about it, but it's $365 for 30-day turnaround, and then it goes up from there, which is kind of neat. You'll love it outside of the freelance world. Our expedited rate is 7 days. So I always have to tell attorneys, please remember in federal court, expedited is 7 days. I think they really need to review that. And so we have daily, they have hourly, which doesn't happen very often in federal court. I'm just telling, in our district. But we do have daily, then the expedited 14-day turnaround, and then the 30-day. So you do that. So then your transcript would go, you get it filed, goes up to the Court of Appeals. Now everything is electronic. That's another beauty of it, is the fact that everything is electronically filed. So you don't have to, when I have to print a transcript, it's just like, ouch. So we don't have to do that. And a lot of times for the federal defenders, we will do that just because it's all government and they're not, they being paid for it. So sometimes it's just kind of an old thing that they've always done. So you have those and you file it. It goes up to the Fifth Circuit, which is in Louisiana. Okay, New Orleans is where the Fifth Circuit sits, Court of Appeals. The judges are there. So that's the next higher court when they say they want to appeal their conviction. And so then if they appeal, and if the appeal is granted, it comes back down. Depending, for a lot of reasons, it can come back down and only on certain issues, and then they rehear it here. Or they can get affirmed, as we say. They affirm the conviction. Then they have the right to certiorari, or right to cert, is what it is, C-E-R-T. They often say, excuse me, and that means they could appeal to the Supreme Court if they want to. And that's getting way above me. Some of these illegal things you'd have to ask an attorney about, because I don't think some of them know. But anyway, so at this level, once again, there's not a court reporter. They're reviewing it all the way back down on our records. So there's a little bit of pressure. But anyway, you want to do a good job. So anyway, but that's where your record goes. So when you go to the Court of Appeals, which is probably common, like in a state court, there's not another transcript. There's not a court reporter out there. They're reviewing what you're doing down at the lower court. So, and then they can go up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court can, send it back, and they can kind of, as we all know, do whatever they want. So anyway, they look at that and they review it. It's just kind of going up to the next higher court. And, you know, some of our bigger cases, obviously have ended up there. What was it, Brown versus the Board of Education? Having been in Kansas, you know, that was a big one too. So, you know, that was some of those bigger ones involving civil rights and things always end up at the Supreme Court. So, I haven't been involved in any of those yet. So, anyway, that's where we're at. And let's see. A civil case is very similar. You know, we still have the same turnaround and stuff. So those are the basics on that. Okay, and now just some conduct that you have to do in federal court is, if any of you are involved in social media, when you work for the federal government and you have a Facebook page, you do not, like, anything on my Facebook page is like, oh, my beautiful horse, oh, look at my beautiful cats. I do not belong to, you know, I cannot endorse political parties ever. And so you just have to, you want to keep so professional, and you've got to be very careful about how you present yourself, because you don't, you're not allowed to do that when you work for the federal government. You got to be very neutral, because you're working with a lot of different people. So anyway, that's one thing I would say about that. And of course, and we have a lot of things, we can get stuff that's sealed proceedings, so we have to be very careful with that. On a day-to-day thing, in the life of a federal reporter, that's very exciting. Sometimes we're busy, sometimes we're not very busy, and we're in our office. And I work from 8 to 5. I'm on a salary, and then I make my additional money in transcripts. And you know, we have benefits and retirement. And for me, as a single person, I need to have that steady check. I've learned that through the years. It's a better thing. So anyway, and my horse is glad I have it too. So it's my kid that will never graduate from college. So anyhow, and so basically you can look at this online. So I should have maybe brought a computer, but if you want to jot this down, if you go to the Western District website, there is a link for us on the court reporters, and that's how they find us. And it kind of tells you about there's a transcript order that they're required to fill out. They're technically required to fill it out. Sometimes we can help them through that. But where am I going with this? So when they there's a transcript orders, and on that site, there's the CM-ECF system, which is what is, I don't know that you technically have access to that. I'm a logged in user, but that's where you can go on that website and see dockets for all the judges. So that's kind of what I use as my daily sheet, is my docket sheets for my judges. It's a little bit different than when in state court, when you work in state court, your docket's gonna have like 35 cases, maybe more, on that docket. On a busy day, mine might have 12. I don't know, on a sentencing day, because our sentencings are pretty involved. They're kind of long. They have to go through this pre-sentence investigation. I'm sure they do that at the state level here in Texas too, but some of them, they're pretty involved with my judge. He doesn't, a lot of, we'll have legal immigration cases, and a lot of judges line them all up and do them together. The judge I work for does them all individually. But we have those docket sheets, and that's how I keep track of where I was that day. We also have a software, and some of what I'm going to tell you in 2016 is going to be completely obsolete. We have a software right now that we track all of our court time, how we spend it, our transcripts, and we have to do quarterly reports for the administrative office of the district courts that goes up to DC, to all the bureaucrats. And we don't really know what they do with it, but we're all still here, so we're all very happy. So, but they want to log us, and now they're getting ready to do a weighted study, which is even going to be more in depth, because we get a lot of this administrative time, and we have to, and it's a good thing to account for, because we spend time, for example, like she's talking about this research for a case, somebody had asked about that, our CM-ECF system that we log into, and then if you're a filer for it, we have all of our case stuff in there. It has all the previous stuff they've done down in MAG court. I can click on it. I have access. What happened in this hearing? I can read all their briefs on different things, get names and spellings. It's a wonderful tool. So that we have all of it in one spot. So that's how we can do our research. So that helps you get ready, and that's some of your time that you spend every day. We have time we go into court, set up real time. I didn't talk about that too much. The federal system really likes real-time certified reporters. So I'm not yet. I do provide real time for my a courtroom deputy and law clerk. We have lots of people in the courtroom in federal court. We have a courtroom manager, courtroom deputy that manages the courtroom and the exhibits, so I don't have to do that. If the courtroom deputy logs all that, and she uses my real time to do that kind of stuff, and the law clerk's following it. And my judge has been on the bench a long time, and he's a big iPad guy, but he just doesn't want the real time. He lets the law clerk follow it, which is fine. So we have that, but they love their certified reporters, so we get pay raises for certification. So if you have your CRR, you get a pay raise. If you have your RMR, you get another pay raise. So there's stepping stones on that. And the starting salary in federal court in general, it's a little bit different throughout the United States, is about $74,000 to $75,000. And it goes up in, different municipalities. So that was the thing you think you get into the federal system and it's all gonna be completely the same, and it's not completely the same. Some districts are going with pooling, and that's another thing, we're starting this study coming up next year. We have this one judge, one reporter formula right now, and they're kind of reviewing that. Because if my judge went off the bench tomorrow, unlike not going through elections in state court, like they do here in San Antonio, if my judge isn't here tomorrow, my job is in jeopardy in a very short time. So, your judge can be on the bench, and you might have your job for 30 years, and you might have it for 5 because of only God knows why. So that's something that can happen too. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I was telling you about the salaries, but each, there's different localities and the salaries are a little different. And like the Ninth Circuit usually pays more because you have, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Hawaii, they all get like a cost of living allowance because it's more expensive to live in some of those areas. Excuse me. So we're starting that study, and then it's going to be a little bit more in depth. So part of my day is logging what I do, and unlike, I remember those nice days as a freelancer, transcripts done, boom, send it into the office, and then they're getting a cut of that, and they're doing that, but I do all that secretarial stuff. I have to keep track of it. I don't mind it because I like to be responsible. I like to know who's paid me, who hasn't paid me, type of stuff like that. So our software is very nice. I think it'll still work, but with the way the study's coming up, the way they want us to pinpoint. But we do want to be specific of how we spend our administrative time, because we don't want the bureaucrats up in Washington thinking we're just sitting with our feet up on our desk or on the internet and stuff all day, because we have a lot of stuff that we have to do to get ready for hearings and answering phone calls, answering emails, and we have to do different mandatory trainings and stuff like that too, and keep our certifications up and stuff.